So today I've got some footage to go over for a bunch of different people. So let me just dive in and we will tackle it. Okay. So the first thing that I want to talk today, with a lot of people that send in stuff, is how to increase rotational acceleration. Okay, so and I'm going to go fast and try to go through everybody's, and I'll ask some questions at the end, or as you're here, so that if you're on live and I'm showing footage of your kid, you can hop on and get off if you need to. But rotational acceleration, just so we understand what it is and what we're trying to do, because it's a huge component of training kids to hit for power. So it matters because it's like measuring a Honda and a Ferrari that are in a 0 to 60 mile an hour race. Both the Honda and the Ferrari are going to get to 60 miles an hour, but the Ferrari, the stock version anyways, can accelerate to that faster. So what you have here is, if you can accelerate the bat faster, you can wait longer to see pitches. And so the MLB average for G forces is about 17. And what happens is, this little graphic that represents kind of what happens if you can make your decision to swing around the one. Well, okay, you have to make your decision to swing around the one if you're generating 10 G forces. You can wait longer and make your decision around two if you're generating in the 20 G forces. You can wait longer if it's 30. So what they're noticing is it's a high correlation to performance when you can train bat speed this way. People that just train bat speed for bat speed, it can be cheated because you can swing the bat way out front on an inside pitch and like speed up your bat, but it happened in a longer time. And so G forces measure the efficiency of that. So I know I've talked about that before, but I just wanted to be clear. Okay. So the first step of this is sequencing. So we want to make sure that the hips fire first, then the shoulders, then the arms, then the wrist, and in that order. And that's one of the key principles to improving rotational acceleration. And there's some others as well. I share this graphic a lot, but this is Freddie Freeman. This is what we are after if we want to use if we want to really drive up the G forces. So his hip is opening while his hands are still going up and back. And the reason that we like to do this is because it stretches something in the body called fascial lines. So fascia is a tissue. If you quickly stretch it before you flex it, allows you to be more explosive. And so there's a couple different ways to do this. We have to mechanically make sure that we are using our body in a way that's allowing us to access the tissue. Sorry, I'm like admitting people into the room and can't walk and talk at the same time. But mechanically, we have to do things that are making sure that this works. And then there's the training of the tissue itself, the fascial tissue. Then there's the central nervous system to fire. There's all these different things. So I have an example. I know Lenny's on the call. This is his son. He is in double A, I believe, if I remember this correctly. And so I gave him a suggestion for rotational acceleration series. I'll just play this real quick and I want to give you some critique. So this is him doing the hook'em drill. And what I want to point out right here is I'm trying to recreate what's happening when his heel gets in the ground. So this is his heel getting into the ground. And we see that his hands are coming down and forward versus if we go back to the Freddie Freeman, where Freddie Freeman's hands are still coming up and back. So when we're training, we want to try to train this stretch to happen. So this can be tricky. It can be tricky to do this. So you really need to film yourself and watch. And pay attention to that. So Lenny, that's the one thing that I would suggest he's doing that on that particular drill. On the next drill, he's doing a roll in right here. On the roll in, the two things. One, we're watching his hands, and next time, can you film it so I can see his heel a little bit better? But I can tell when his foot lands. It's landing there, right there, and the hands are coming down. So we're trying to get them to still pull back. The other thing with roll-ins is, and he starts it off right, roll-ins have the toes going forward, and you're supposed to land out and land in this position where both toes are pointing towards the pitcher. So the pelvis is in an open position. And right now he's closed it off. So he started that way and then he got sideways. And so trying to stay with his toes forward is going to help him do that. Then another one, when it gets tricky, you ever seen those slow pitch softball players who are hitting these like ridiculously backspun like nukes on a softball field, and they get like really big and they hammer the ball. That can be an unlock for kids. So this is me. This is like an over exaggerated version of Big Poppy that we have. If you have a kid who is not feeling this, so this is. I'm just slow mo, but it's like a really big wave. It's like I'm kicking the catcher in the face. I'm pulling back, and my hands are still pulling back all the way till the heel gets in the ground. So my hands are still going up. Now, I'm not a professional hitter, but you see my hands are still going up as I get the heel into the ground. That's how you know you got a good rep. And then when we're doing it that way, what happens is, okay, now we are activating and we are using the fascial tissues of the body. And then when we start to use weighted bats, correctly, well, we do the drill correctly while using weighted bats. Now we start to get a plyometric training effect that's happening on the body. So those are some things that I think would really drive up the G forces. So let me see if Lenny, you've got any questions about this. How can I open up this? Do you have? I'm gonna try to unmute you. Um, where is Lenny? Oh, I can't tell. Can you unmute yourself? The names don't show up here, so I can't tell who's who. Oh, I think there you go. Asking you to unmute. I just asked you to unmute. I know you're driving, so you might need to hop back on and oh, are you there?
I'm unmuted now. Yeah.
Okay. Did
Can you hear
that,
me?
yes, did that start to answer any questions for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I want to see. I'm going to go back and watch it, what you're doing, what you said. But
Yep.
I only can hear what you're saying, but I do understand it.
Okay, perfect.
I'll
So
go back and watch. I'll go back and watch the link and see what's going on.
okay, perfect. Then the other thing I want to point out is there are other steps to this, and I will send them to you. But I always like to, when you're just starting, I don't want to send you all 300 steps and like then you're overwhelmed. So I like to just make sure we're doing the drills right first. So on the screen, if you can't see, I've got central nervous system priming activities that we want to do before he hits. Then we want stretch shortening cycle med ball drill series that we want to do. We've got water bag fascial series that we want to do, and vertical jumping and max sprinting. So like mixing all of that in. And I don't know how much of him he already is on programming that handles some of those things with any of the stuff that the organization does with him or he does on the side, but I will send you some of that stuff. So at least the first three parts. So the
Perfect.
nervous system primers, the med ball stuff, and the fascia. So he might be doing some of that stuff, but this will help check those boxes. And then you would ask the question like, how much, like, what's the process? Do we just trust the process? And it is a trust the process kind of a thing. It will happen over 6 to 12 weeks. And it'll be a little bit like a growing stock market. It'll go up, it'll go down. He'll do some things right, he'll do some things wrong. He'll be a little sore from a lift, and it'll go down, but then it works better the next day. But that's kind of how that process works. So, any other questions there?
No, not for
Okay.
me.
All right, sounds good. I'm going to mute you again. Um, I'll get you that link after we are done. Okay, let's see. Who else do I have? Um, let me see. Where were we at here? I just went over this. Okay. Now I want to go into the next. Okay, so I think the Gilberts are online. Gilberts, can you? Well, here, I'll just go over that. I saw you come in. Okay,
Yeah,
so
we're
you're
here.
here. Perfect. Okay. So, I wanted, I know we had a conversation, but I wanted to talk about how to hit high velocity and specifically with stride timing. And I probably should say that this is how to hit any kind of velocity too, but this is super helpful at the younger ages. So, now help me out here. This one, if I recall, he swings and misses at this. This is an above average speed for the age he is facing. Is that correct? You might.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
that this is the one that he was late on. It's like in the glove.
Yep. Okay, so he's late on that one. And then on did I not include the other one? Okay, yeah, he's late on that one. Sorry, I'm gonna get there. And this one he's on time for. So on this one, he's on time. and we could talk about why he needs to maybe get extension and some other mechanical things. But just from a timing perspective, I want to point out something. So this is super helpful. And this doesn't matter if it's baseball or softball. The what you are looking for matters. But this is my son facing a 90-mile-an-hour pitcher after his sophomore season. I forget, but sophomore season. And what I like to do, and he's late and he gets jammed, but right here, he's at his peak leg lift, okay? And so this is something I like to do. I like to look at the peak leg lift. I'll back that up. I like to look at the peak leg lift because that's when you typically are starting to move forward. And so when you're moving forward, you have to adjust when you move forward based off of the pitching speed. So if I stop that clip and then I go not fast forward, zoom over to the pitcher, we can see that the ball is right there in the pitcher's hand. And so he gets jammed, and so we know, okay, he's late. Okay. So if we fast forward, sorry, me navigating laggy computer. Okay, here he is 6 months later working on the after working on that stride type of timing to hit that kind of velo. It's not something in our area. We live in the Pacific Northwest. We just don't see a lot of it. So if you live in the South, you see a lot of it and you get used to it easier, but we don't see it. So we had to practice this. But what happens if we stop his leg lift, well, that's when he gets the hit. I got to slow this down for you. So if we show where he's at his peak leg lift, right? Maybe there. Right there, you can see that the ball is still in the pitcher's hand. So he has really picked an earlier time to go. Now, what I like to say is that the best way to find that, my son's got a big leg kick. Other kids have different tempos. The way I like to attack this is go and look at where your kid was at with a good hit, which you did, right? You send in that footage. So let's go find that. And we want to see where he was at when he starts to move forward. Would help if I hit play. And so when does he start to go forward? It's right after. Oh, okay, good. I marked it. There we go. So the ball is just right out of his hand. And this is did you say this was a slower thrower or an average thrower?
This guy's average.
Okay, so this is
And it
average.
was outside, and he hit a nice line drive to right field.
Yeah. So he's going at ball release here. And when he's facing above average, he's still going. Maybe he's in a little bit after ball release here. So he's using the same stride timing strategy on both fast and slow. So, and I know we talked about this, but hopefully this is helpful to see some examples. Okay. So what we want to do is I like to go off of three types of timing for teaching, especially the youth hitters. We want to have a hard thrower, an average thrower, and a slow thrower. So we go and we look at what happens. So you just told me he had on an average thrower, if with his stride timing, if he starts to go forward at ball release, he is on time. Okay. So we're going off of facts. We're not just making stuff up, right? So if he's going to face a fast thrower, what has to happen is right here. If you're looking at the pitcher, as he starts to make that move right there, that's when he needs to start going forward. So he needs to go to load later. And then if he's going to face a slow pitcher, he needs to wait till it's it's out of his hand. It's been released. And so those are three types of timing. And so in the on deck circle, what I like to try to tell kids to do is right? All kids know, is this a hard guy, an average guy, or a slow guy? And I'm going to practice loading up and paying attention to when I'm going forward and when do I have to start my load so that I can go forward. So there's two pieces of this that tend to get people caught, and that is some kids can only think about going forward, and other kids that's too much for their brain and they don't want to think about anything in the go forward part. They just want to start their load and the rest takes care of itself. So for my daughter, my son, he likes to just go think about when he's going forward. My daughter does not like to have that many thoughts going through her head. So with her, it's about when she has to start her load so that she's going forward. So that might need to be something like, if he's the kind of hitter that thinks like that, at handbrake, you might need to to start your load so that you're on time. So you have to play with what one works best for them. But does that make sense? And I have another thing I want to point out with how to like do this on the machine, and a drill. But does that make sense? Any questions about that?
Yeah, it's making sense.
Okay. Did that help more, or did you kind of already understand that?
Yeah, no, I mean it's making sense, and I think it was a good to get ready in the batter's box
Yep.
and be intentional about like when do I need to pick my timing
Yep.
is good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so now a couple things with this that I think people jack up. And that's with how to do it off the machines. So, a couple of points here. So, I have three plates that are on the ground. He's not actually doing a three-plate drill here, but I really like to use one of our load series type of drills, whether that's one of the step backs or one of the pivot picks, and do it out of three plate. So we will take 2 reps doing a loading drill off of the back plate, then 2 off the middle, then 2 off the front that I have laying down here. And what happens is when you're putting a kid in a loading drill, they really are forced to start earlier and paying attention to when to go. So when you're off of a machine, the what I like to do, if you look at, I hope you guys can see it. I'm in the background here. I'm feeding this machine, and if you watch the timing, so like you might, if on the back plate, you might be able to start going forward when I put the ball right there in the wheels. If it's on the middle, it might be at the top of my where I've got the ball raised up. And that's when you have to start. And then when it's on the front, you might have to start the second I raise my hand. So those are 3 different timing things that we have to do. And I want them practicing going at different times. I don't want them going to auto mode, and not thinking about when they are going. So I like to ask them when they're going. That is one thing. The other thing that I like to point out, notice how I don't talk about this ever, and I think it's a super important distinction. I think that it's rough to do machine work with kids when you take the ball, you hold it up, you put it on the ramp, and it kind of jiggles, and then you let it go, and it shoots through. If you watch how I feed the machine, I try to make it one smooth motion. So it's just up and down. And he's just on an opposite field power day, but which is not the point of this video. I just wanted to show the smoothness of how I'm feeding that. I think that if you're going to work on timing and you as the feeder are just super inconsistent, it's a hard thing to do. So that's how I like to feed it. It has to be the same timing like you every time, and then you adjust when they start by moving them up. So any questions on any of that? Is that any of that helpful?
What are the different like you kind of talked about hand separation from the pitcher, you talked about release, like what are the points you would suggest keying off of to build your timing for faster guys, slower guys,
Yeah.
etc.?
So some some ones that I like, when he goes forward, you go forward. That can work for the she too. For the girls, when hands separate is one. When can you see me when I do this?
Mostly.
Mostly.
I mean,
Okay. So when the start of the turn is one.
okay.
And then at like once you can see the chest is one, ball release is one, and those are enough where like you can get close. And now you're close enough where you're gonna have a chance on that first 0-0 fastball you get because you made sure that you were in the ballpark. But if you picked you pick ball release and he's a hard thrower, and you waited till first strike is thrown over the middle to find that out, and you're late, then like not, you just missed an opportunity to get a good hit. So, yeah, those are the ones.
Okay. And then
Sound good?
slower is just if it's a slower guy, it's just wait until
Like after ball
like
release.
wait a half
After
a beat
ball release
after
is
ball
one.
release.
Say again.
If it's slower, just it's how many beats after ball release kind of thing.
Yeah, it's tough after ball release on real slow guys. So like right after ball release is like the one cue I have. Another one that will work is have them think I'm sitting curveball. And so actually switching in this cage right here, we'll do that. We'll have this cage be a fastball, and the next cage will be a slow breaking ball, and we'll practice sitting those different speeds. And so when we're working the kids, we'll do a round where you're going to sit fastball, and after 3 barrels, you're going to hop over, and now you're going to sit curveball for 3 barrels. And so having an approach of I'm going to sit curveball can kind of automatically slow guys down. You have to play with it to see if it works, but on the slow guys and see if that's helpful. But that's another one.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay. All right. Let's see. Moving on to the next one. Okay. I have some loading drill breakdowns that I want to do for a couple folks. Johnson is the last name here. The Sorry, I don't know his first name. So I've slowed this down. So he's doing a step back. I just wanted to kind of break down, um, make sure we're doing this right. Okay. So a couple things as we see this. So with the step back, if you look at his starting his foot position, he's going to step back. The stepping back action looks like it's pretty decent. He might be a little bit too on top of his leg. I'd like him to make sure. I'd ask him, are you feeling weight in your heel and your front foot? But then what happens that we really got to pay attention to is when he lands, he's now gone backwards. So he needs to get back to the tee. So he's really on his rear leg. And then as he hits, he's super tipped back. His head is over his back foot. Now, part of that is because his feet are so close. And so I would, number one, I'd put a piece of tape where he starts, and after he hits, have him step back and get back to the tape. That would be one thing. The other thing is, I talked about this on our last call, but he looks hypermobile. So I am going to send you there's certain joints in the body that need to be stable and others that need to be mobile. And when we see like he's got this elbow that races way ahead of his hands. This elbow is supposed to be like even with the hands at this point, but this is an arms dominated swing. And so he really is going to need a lot of sequencing work. But when we see this, it's almost more important to do our different stability series for that I'll send you to build up the capacity for this than the drills themselves. Like they are almost more powerful, and you'll see this technique clean up. But that's one thing that I see there. Something that you might find helpful is after he does a couple reps of this, we have a drill called knee to face. So, and I didn't pre-record this, so if I need to, I'll do that later. But you take a regular swing, and right after contact, you pick up your right leg, and it's like you knee the pitcher in the face, and so you end up standing on your front leg. And so what happens when you stand on your front leg is if he has this position, and we'll do this with kids in the cage, if he picks it up, they actually fall on their back. So when I have kids that like to tip back way too much like this, I will put them in a knee to face drill so they learn what it's like to be stable on their front leg and have taller posture. But when he is this tipped back, what's going to happen is his bat path is going to go straight up. He's going to miss under a lot of balls, and you can see the angle that he's going up there. That's a very steep angle. But anyways, that is what we see on that drill. So make sure that he's when you're using the bat sensor, have it try to it's measuring bat speed, but measure the attack angles as well, so that try to get the attack angles under 15 as you are doing those drills, and try to make sure he gets back to the tape. And I'll send you a knee to face drill example for that. I don't know. Are the Johnsons on this call? If they are, go ahead and unmute yourself. The other one, and I'll keep going while you do that if you want to, and if you're here, you want to add in movement prep with that drill. So I talked about this last week, but feeling what it's like to load the back hip. This is a good one that we like. We press our right foot into the wall, and he's going to hinge like a single leg RDL, but he crosses his body, tries to feel the tension in the hip. This is a good one to do right before you do the step back. So I will send you some of our other movement prep drills for that as well. And then we got this guy. Is this guy's family on by chance? If so, unmute yourself and say hello. But he's doing a step back, so I just want to critique this. Okay, so as he's doing this, sorry, I got a sidebar in the way here. Now he's a young one, But what we want to be paying attention to is just like with even the older kids, right? Is when his foot lands, he is tucking his right arm into his rib cage instead of pulling his hand back into a punching position with a flat forearm. Now, after having done this a while, this is tough for the kids, and the scapular stability series is something that I'd like to send you to add to this, but you want to have a flat forearm as you pull this back, and try when you're doing that, like when he does it right, pay attention to have the bat speed numbers showing so that we can see if they're actually making the numbers faster. Because if you get to a better launch position, you should be able to move faster, and it'll help him be like, oh, when I get my arm back here, that's when this works. So that would be one tip that I would see out of that drill. Any questions as I go through this from anybody else watching? I'm definitely not done. I have more film, but if you do, feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question. Let me actually see. Does anybody write a question? Has anybody added one in the chat? If you have a question, will this meeting be available afterwards? Yes, I'm gonna make a recording of this, so I will do that. Okay, back at it. What have I done? Okay, launch position. So what am I doing? Yeah, critiquing the launch drill breakdown. So this is the Big Poppy drill. We talked about this drill a little bit in the other one, but with Lenny's kiddo. But what we see here is you need to take all the slack out of your system. And so his hands are going up, and then they start to come down as the heel is hitting the ground. Filming him and making sure this is still going up as he gets into the ground is something that we definitely want. We definitely want to have him do. And doing that over exaggeration one that I pointed out at the beginning of this call is another one that I think would help. So those are two things that would help. Okay. I am now going to move on, and I'm going to look at some movement. I want to cover 3 root cause movement flaws that are stunting hitters' potential. So this is available in our movement screen area. Here I am with this wonderfully fancy broom. Let me tell you, this thing is supposed to brush dog hair off of carpets and be amazing. And it really is no better than a regular broom. Just so if anyone was wondering. Okay, I'll show you why I'm doing this. Okay, so pelvic tilting is super, super important. So let me show you what pelvic tilting is supposed to look like. So what you do is you take a broom, and it's touching my tailbone, my upper back, and the top of my head. And then I'm going to hinge, which means I keep all 3 of those points on, like all 3 of those points were still touching the broom. And then I'm going to take my pelvis and I'm going to try to, if I had a flashlight on my belt buckle, I'm going to try to point it at my face. Then I'm going to try to point at the ground. So it looks like this without moving my upper body. So I'm just tilting my pelvis. When you do this with enough kids, you'll realize some kids do not have this system online. And if they don't, they have bat path issues. Okay. So I believe this is Bella. So Bella, in your setup for this, the back was already rounded and you can scoop your pelvis under, but you can't tip it back down. It doesn't go back the other way. So you're coiling it, but not coiling it back the other way. Are the Machados here? Does that make sense? If you can, unmute yourself. I thought I saw you guys hop online. If you are, feel free.
Yep.
Okay. Does that make sense?
Yep.
The other thing, as you watch this, it might be hard to see. So I'm not good at the forward one. My pelvis judders. So if you guys like try this, like go get a broom and try to do this, you'll notice it goes. My let's see if it'll show up on camera. But when I tuck it under, it'll shudder. That's tough to see on camera, but I can feel it, and you guys could probably feel it when you're doing it at home as well. When you're not comfortable having your pelvis in all these positions, then it wants to default into one. So like a lot of times when you can't scoop it back the other way, you'll end up being too far tipped back or too far bent forward because you're not stable. So adding in some pelvic tilting control exercises would be something I'd want to do. I'll come back to this kid in a second because I know Bella's folks are here. The overhead squat test. So this is one, and for those of you watching, this is in our members area that I really do think everybody should do. So when clients come in, I have them send in footage of their swing usually first. We break it down. And I'm going to be doing that here in a second as well. In fact, I'll be doing that for Bella. But then after we do that, usually the body will have different motor control issues that when we see swing flaws show up, what's happening is the body is avoiding movement patterns that it feels unstable in, so or doesn't have enough control over. So that's why we do these. So in this one, what we want to have happen, actually, I did them over here. So again, you take the PVC broomstick, and I want to be able to see if I can squat all the way down with the heels not coming off the ground. Here, I'm blocking that. So heels don't come off the ground. While I squat all the way down while the bar does not come in front of my knees. Okay. So my right heels are in the ground. The left sides come up. That's not the point. The point is, like, Bella's over here, she's doing it, and the heels are coming way off the ground, like where I could keep the right side of mine on the ground. So so we do this, and what then happens, what story this tells us is either you have an ankle mobility issue. And so if that's the case, you want to do this test right here. You put a broom 4 inches in front of your toe, and can you rock forward to touch it with your knee while your heel stays on the ground? So what happens is the soleus is that muscle that's right underneath the Achilles, part of the calf, and it gets tight on some people. And if it is too tight, then you will have a hitter that cannot do this movement. That is one thing that happens. The other one is you have a bad hinging pattern. So the hinge is what I was doing with that PVC pipe, where I put all 3 down and bend over as it maintains contact. When we take away the bar and we ask her to go down. She's getting to level, but she can't go further than that. When she tries to go deeper, she falls out of it. So I don't know if it's an ankle mobility issue or if it's a hinging issue or if it's a both, but there's something in there that is stopping it. The other part that we test for with the bar over the head, and the reason that we do the bar over the head, is if we have any stiffness in the upper T-spine. Usually with young kids we don't, but you will get some with the older kids. You will also get some with overweight kids that they don't have enough mobility in their upper back. So those are issues that I see. Do I have another one for her? I don't for the movement. Any questions on her movement? I'll be sending her, and in a second here, I'm going to break down her swing and show you how I do that. And we'll pick some drills for her. And I will pair those with movement exercises that will help address some of those things, so that every workout she's doing some hinging work, she's doing maybe some ankle mobility work and those sorts of things. But any questions on how to break that down?
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Yeah, and standing up out of the swing is a swing flaw that'll happen when you have those ankle mobility issues. So, okay, perfect. All right, since I got you right here, I'll come back actually. Okay, so here's an example of a kid doing a pelvic tilt test, and he can't move his pelvis. So he's just raising his upper back. The feeling of how to tilt it forward and backward. There he goes. He goes forward, but you can see there's a lot of movement. So there's just a way less control of what his pelvis can do than the way that I was doing it. The other one that you see is right here. You need to be able to move. Apparently I filmed this in 7 pixels on the right, but I can keep my upper body straight and move my lower half independently. And this kid struggles with that. So he's moving his upper body and lower body in the same way instead of learning how to, it's called disassociate them. So that's something that's going to show up in his drill work. That's going to be hard for him to do moves. Like when we want our hands to be going up and back while our hips are opening, if we can't do this move, I can give you the best drills in the world, but it's not going to work if we don't have the underlying ability to move our upper body and lower body independently of each other. So we want to give you exercises every day before you hit. You're just touching on those systems. So that's what we're trying to do there. So and just to remind you, like I talk a lot about the 7 categories of movement. that you want your kids to know how to do before puberty hits, because it becomes really hard to learn them if you wait too long. So it's not like you can't ever, but it gets harder. It's like learning a new language. Like the windows of learning, they're just easiest when you're young. So that's what I see in some of those movement screens. Any questions from anybody on any of that movement stuff before I move on? Feel free to unmute yourself if you have a question. Okay, perfect. Moving on. Now let's talk about how to analyze a swing for power leaks. Now, if I have actually done one of these for you, then this is going to be a review. But I thought it might be helpful to kind of do these live. Okay. So see if I can do this. Okay, so this is Bella. This is that girl that we were just talking about. This is gonna be a little grainy. Sorry, it's a little side clip that was behind a game changer. But here's a swing she has, and I'm going to show you how I would break down this swing and how you should go in and analyze your kids' footage, so that because that's what this membership is for. This membership is so that I show you how to analyze this stuff, and then you get access to the drills, and then you try it, and then you can send me the footage so that we can tweak things and make those little tweaks. Because you just can't go do a drill without having somebody understand what we're trying to do and help critique. I mean, you can, but I'm trying to help you make that process easier. So let's talk about this. I think that there are, okay, first of all, I like to teach hitting from what little guys do that still hit a lot of home runs in the big leagues. Okay. So there are 17 things that we check for, and we check them in 4 different phases. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to look at what's going on in the load phase of the swing. So in the load, oh, I don't have this dialed. Okay. In the load swing, we have a hitter coiling back as they get into their rear leg. Okay. That's what we have there. So when I look at her swing, I want to look at, is she coiling her pelvis? And so she goes back, she actually opens the pelvis. Right there, she's opening it. It's going the wrong way. She opens it so the left hip opens first, and then she closes it on the way forward, but it's opening. So it's as she sits back, she's opening it to the left side. Okay, so we don't have a coiling around the pelvis. So I would recommend that we put her into some of our loading drills. Those are inside of our members area, and so I would definitely do those. Okay, then I showed you the movement prep exercise that was earlier with my son's foot on the wall. That we would do that movement prep exercise to help her feel what it's like. And then when we do that drill and we do it with a bat sensor, when you feel the right feeling, the bat speeds are going up. I bet she's leaving 2 or 3 miles an hour of bat speed on the table from not coiling the pelvis. So that's the first thing. The second thing we want to do is the stride phase of the swing. Okay. So a couple things that we're looking for here. So here's an example of what we want. Girls hits a bomb.
Hits one the other way. This is carrying, and it is gone.
And what we want to see is, notice her right arm is going to pull back all the way until her toe touches. Boop. And we see that the arm is pulled back all the way until the front toe touches. And we see that the front shoulder is lower than the back. And we see, if we were from the side, the tip of the barrel would be right above the head-ish. Or you could think if there was a flashlight on the knob of the bat, it would be pointing at the catcher's face. Her pelvis is starting to open. She's in a pretty good position here. So we look at her. We want to see, is the shoulder, as she goes forward, do the hands pull back? Does she land with front shoulder low? That's pretty good. Okay, front shoulder's lower than the back. The knob is pointing down at the catcher. The bat's basically above the head. The rear forearm is flat. This looks like she's strode out into a good launch position. I like to make sure that as they're doing this, that their body is not going up as they stride, so that if it goes up, they come out of their legs. She's doing a good job of staying in her legs and pulling back as her foot gets into the ground. So the stride is good. Then if we look at the launch, is, we talked about it, but we want the hip to open as if there was a rubber band stretched across their right hip to their back rib cage. Because if you quickly stretch it, you will use, and your hands are still going up until your heel gets into the ground, you will use the fascial lines of the body. That will be better. So coming back to her clip, and this gets really tricky. if I look at her heel, I'm trying to recreate, and you see her hands are still going up and back while she's landing. Okay. So that is in good sequence. She's doing a good job. Now I can't quite see her belt buckle, but I would want to see, am I seeing the belt buckle starting to fire just a little bit before the shoulders is what I'd be looking for. When we do this, I actually prescribe a drill called Big Poppy to every single person that we work with. It doesn't look like she's doing anything wrong, but I want it to happen faster. And so we want to train it with that big over exaggerated Big Poppy drill that I was showing you earlier, using a bat sensor with weighted bats and tracking G forces. Because even if you're doing it right, like we need to train it to go faster. So a lot of times we'll prescribe the same drills for kids, but one's just because, hey, use weighted bats and do this drill to make you move faster because you already move right. And others, we're trying to get them to move right. So different perspectives, but this looks pretty clean. Then what we want to do is we want to go to the lower half of the swing. So what is the lower half doing? We want to see the right hip rip the back foot forward off of this yellow line while the lead leg is straightening. So I don't know if I have a shot of Bichette doing this. I think, anyways, you see this all the time. So this is one that we want to see. So we're going to come back. We're going to take a peek at it for her. We're going to see, does she, so I don't have a line here, but if I was to draw a line right there, we can see that it does not. It actually goes backwards. Okay, so now what happens is we don't have a hip thrust. And so we have both of our feet into the ground. It's more of a 50-50 launch position instead of 100% of our foot getting into the lead leg. Now you're straightening the lead leg. We are, the pelvis is pointing towards the pitcher, but we're not getting a thrust from our rear hip. I don't think I have anybody who sent in footage with an example of this. But we want to see this not only pull forward, but slightly slide underneath them. And it shows us that we have a good pelvic deceleration pattern, which is a topic for another day. But pelvic deceleration is something that improves G forces. I know we talked about G forces later with when I was talking with Lenny's kid, but I didn't bring it up because he does a good job of decelerating his pelvis. So at least he did in the drill series. But this is a lower half that needs some work. So I would prescribe right here, for example, like a Happy Gilmore shuffle drill. And we have a couple other of lead leg and hip thrusting drills. There's a medicine ball drill that I would pair it with, where you get to feel what it's like to drive all the way forward onto the front leg while this is unweighting. And so when you do, for example, a Happy Gilmore drill, you do a full shuffle. What happens with the full shuffle is all of your weight is forced onto the lead leg. A big mistake kids will make with it is they don't do it hard enough. So both their feet stay on the ground. And if you see that as you're giving them that drill, they need to go harder. So we're trying to use forward momentum to make that happen. And then I can't see the bat very well here, but that kind of walks you through. There's some other things that we would do to break down some contact quality things. I'd need a higher resolution video so I could see that. But now what we do is, okay, we'll go and turn this into a workout. Let's do 2 loading drills. You stride out pretty good, but let's make sure we're rotating fast. Let's get a check on the bat sensor to make sure our G forces are high. So let's do a Big Poppy's third, and let's do a Happy Gilmore shuffle, specifically focusing on the rear hip thrusting forward as it sucks the line underneath. So that's how I would like break that down. Is that helpful? Do we have questions on that? Feel free to unmute yourself if you do.
No, that's great. Thanks, Chet.
Okay. Yeah, so then the next steps are you clear on next steps after this? Like, I go into the members area, do those drills, film yourself doing them, send footage like I was critiquing with Lenny's kid earlier, and then we'll dial this in and we'll start building this with layers. Does that make sense?
Yep, makes sense. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so there you go. Let's see. Do I have anything else? I don't. That's what I got for today. So does anybody else have any other questions? I miss anything? You sent me something. I need to get back to you. I'll open up my chat here, see if anybody sent me anything. I don't see that I do. There's still a few people here. Yeah, I'll just chill for a second. If you have any questions that you're thinking about, feel free to ask away. Otherwise, hopefully you found this helpful. And as always, to make these as valuable as possible, take the stuff, do the drills, send me the footage of you doing them, and I can provide feedback. And there's layers to this thing, right? So we're doing the bat speed right. Well, I don't know. We're talking about a lot of different things today, but it starts with just learning how to do some bat speed work so that we can help you add 30 to 50 feet over 6 to 12 weeks, how far you can hit a ball. And then it gets into, okay, now we need to do this for your contact quality stuff. What type of central nervous stuff or movement prep stuff do we need to do to add this into your programming? Depending on how much of this you want to tackle, but there's multiple layers. Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't have any more questions coming in. So,
I have a couple questions. Sorry.
okay, fire away.
My son was the one with the poor hip mobility, the dissociation, and the
Yeah.
pelvic tilting.
What's his name? All right. You don't have to tell me
That's-
his name if you don't want to.
That's Isaac.
Okay.
So movement prep exercises for that. What would you prescribe and
Yeah.
stretching reps?
I'm gonna send them to you.
Okay.
I have one I call it's a hip flopper on a yoga ball. We want to do one. You do it on a wall where you get to feel what your pelvis is. Basically, you're doing like a 3/4 wall sit, and you
Okay.
press your low back against a wall, right? And then actually you start on the wall and it's like your tailbone's touching the wall and your upper back and can you fit your hand behind the small of your back as it's pressed up to the wall? Does that make sense?
Yep.
And then you take your hand out and can you press your low back into the wall while you take your glutes off the wall and it tips your pelvis and you get to feel what we're supposed to feel.
Okay.
As an example. So I have a little series of that we can help do. It's super normal at the young age. It's so just warming them up with, we can get a little bit more fun with some of the things we can do. I don't know if you are a coach of his team or you can add in different pelvic control and core control races and different movements that help with that. But I will send that to you. I have your, we've been texting, right? Or is it Facebook?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then he's also been hitting your demo video was the RDLs with the foot on the wall.
Yeah. How's that going?
He's been doing it 3 days a week, and the stability with the foot on the wall wasn't working right away, so we just switched to like a single leg RDL with toe on it while he builds up that movement pattern and everything.
Right.
And I've noticed that he's actually starting to get into his back hip more.
Perfect.
So any other recommendations for some simple exercises for building some strength and everything and movement patterns? I'll take all day.
So as a general thing for the youth, there is, and it's not fancy, but I do have a sample workout. I don't know if you've seen that in the youth strength section. Like one that's really good for stability in these kids is getting a water bag. Actually, that's not in the members area. I was going to say I really like reverse lunges or rear foot elevated split squats, where you're just forced to do stuff on one leg. But what I've really liked doing recently is like I've added water bag reverse lunges to most of my young kids warm up because we're asking them to walk backwards and they shake and they don't have enough stability. And that's really what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to build enough stability to be able to like do these moves correctly. So adding unstableness to, or instability, I don't know if unstableness is a word. Maybe it is.
I think it's really just building the strength in the movement patterns to stay stable.
Yep.
When he's never really moved that way before. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And like do like in the youth workout, it's not just back and forth. We want to do a sideways one as well. Right. So what kind of single leg stability do you have going sideways? And there's, have I sent you our single leg stability series?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Coming up. I'll send it your way after this is over.
All right. Perfect. Appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. That it? Okay, guys.
Hey, Chet, one more thing.
Yeah.
On Can you talk a little bit about like the extension and kind of how to fix?
Yeah.
Like my daughter's swing, she tends to finish with her hands kind of almost behind, like wrapping around and like towards third base, as opposed to finish extending like her arms straight towards the pitcher.
Yeah. Yes. And I know you are on our, I left her stuff off of here because you do our one-on-one service. So I was gonna do
Okay, that's fine. We can, if you want to cover it there, that's
a
fine.
whole separate thing for you there. But just so that if other people have that question to provide like a couple of quick things. One is the blast motion sensor that we use has a 3D bat path feature. Have you ever played with that?
Not really. No, I'm still getting like there's so many metrics and things.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of hard to know what to look at.
Yeah, that's what. So if we're, I usually, yeah, it is. That's what, any questions, feel free to send. I'm pulling up, I'm not going on my phone to text, but I'm trying to pull up my app. I just saw a swing that came up that was a little bit wonky, but there's let me see if I can find one. There is this tool. I don't know if you guys can see this. Can you see my phone?
No, it's blurring out the phone.
Blurry. Okay. Um, if, okay, then I won't be able to.
I mean, I've seen the
3D lines.
yeah, where yes, I've seen that in the app. I mean, I haven't paid much attention to
Yeah.
it, but
So
I've
what
seen it.
happens is there's an arc to the swing that it's measuring, and then the last black line is measuring what the bat is doing after contact. And so we want the swing's kind of like a Nike swoosh that's circling, right? And so we want after the last black line, we want it to be straight for a while before it finishes. And what happens with kids that pull off is it'll hit that last black line and go down. And so it's a really good instant feedback tool to use on kids when you pair it with swing direction drills. So I don't have any of that teed up to like show you, so we're just kind of talking about that right here. But uh the like we have a drill. Have I given you our swing direction drill series yet? No, because I haven't watched it.
I don't think so. No.
You just sent in the we're at the stage where you've sent me just her bat speed stuff that I have to get back to you on. So we'll be going into that as well. But like as an example, there's a drill where we are hitting and we put a tee at the height of the front hip on the chalk line. Does that make sense? So the tee is sitting on the chalk line. If she's a righty, it's on the chalk line of the batter's box, and it is like 6 inches out in front of where her front foot would land after her stride, and it's pulled up to hip height. Okay, you tracking?
Stuck on mute. Yes, I'm tracking.
Okay,
So are we trying to like she's trying to get her hands to that
so
towards that tee?
I'm gonna put a pitch on the middle away, knee high location, and I'm gonna ask them to hit that ball without hitting the tee. And so what happens
Without it. Okay.
is they will, if they pull their hands across, it instantly smokes the tee and they get instant feedback that they had bad bat path. That's one example. So they have to feel what it's like to get extended past the tee before they go. So it's a good drill for extension. So we have a series of drills that that absolutely help with that we will
Hold on. So it's behind. It's behind. The tee is behind her hip, or so it's out in front of her, but it's like her hands are pulling around. So is it in the path of where we don't want our hands to go, essentially?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I think I'm tracking.
I don't know about behind her. It's not behind her. Like it's sitting on the chalk line, like between her and home plate.
Okay.
So it's in the it's on the batter's box line, not the foul chalk line. Right? Where her toes are next to in the batter's box, that line.
Like the river, like near the.
Yeah. But it's
Okay.
not it's actually on the chalk, not in the river. But yes,
Okay.
but that's the area we're talking about. And now out in front of her about 6 inches from after her front foot lands.
Okay.
So right now, if she's going to tuck her arms in and pull her hands across that on a knee high pitch, her bat's going to smoke that tee. Am I right?
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm so focused on where her hands are going. I mean, her hands are going like right around her hip. So yeah, I guess the bat would hit that spot. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
We'll go test it out. But
Let me try something here. How do I get off of this? How do I get off of this? I go to YouTube. I think I just need one more tab open and I'll be good. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find this for you easily or not. You can see my screen still.
yeah, I'm seeing it.
It's this one. Okay. I don't know how well YouTube videos play, but I'll try to show you the setup.
When it comes to
Yeah, it's working.
on-plane
Okay. Now, will my computer work fast enough? Is the next question. Trying to find the. Okay, here's the setup. You see that?
Okay. Yeah.
So I'll play it.
and what we're going to do is we are going to try to hit the ball.
So do you see how it's above his waist actually? So if he were to cut his hands down.
Okay. Yeah, I'm tracking.
So that's one that is really good for helping keep the bat path down. You have to have other things go well, like posture has to be good. We've actually made this difference since I made this video where we put a tee on the back as well. And it's a little bit lower, but it helps him not cut his bat in too deep. He gets it on plane deeper, if that makes sense. So it's more like off of his back hip, where this one's out in front of his front hip. But
So basically, the back one prevents the. I'm just going to uppercut to avoid hitting the tee.
Yeah, or I'm going to dump my barrel too early and enter the zone like too steep this way and foul ball off and back. I'm going to get behind it early and come through it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No. We're going to go try that.
Yeah, this is a good one. I will put kids. This is not one that I usually give people first. It's a struggle bus for sure the first time they do this one because most aren't comfortable rotating being this side bent on a low pitch. So it'll eat them up pretty quick, but it is good. And we do have some others for extension that I'll totally be getting to you as well. But I know I owe you the bat speed critiques first, so I'll be getting that first, and then we'll go deeper into this as well, where we'll actually track some different metrics while we watch her take BP, so we can see what metrics might be affecting some contact quality issues.
Okay.
And bat path. So we will get to that, but. Yes, this is one of the examples that we really like for that drill. I actually got this from it's not this one exactly, but we were at Coastal Carolina for my son. We were trying to do a recruiting trip. At the time they were just a mid-major. They didn't make it second place in the World Series. Which is maybe a bit above his pay grade at this current time, maybe someday. But anyways, they had have you seen those surfboard tees? They're not called surfboard tees. I call them surfboard tees. I don't actually know what they're called, but it's like a knee board, like that's at an angle.
The kickboards that the swimmers use.
It's kind of like that, but it lays instead of a tee here or two tees, it's a board that lays.
Oh yeah. I've seen that thing
Sideways, and it's a type of a tee.
Yeah,
where, like you have to hit the ball without hitting the board, and so my son was first up in front of all the coaches demoing the drill, and he absolutely just. Crap the bed on doing the drill. He smoked the tee, sent it flying, but it gave him this instant feel of about what it's like to get behind the ball early and stay through it. And he had the round of his life. He left the yard 5 times at Coastal Carolina at their showcase tournament. And he actually left the stadium once as a sophomore. So it was like, oh damn, we are adding in this to our Bat Path series. But I was trying to figure out how to do it, and because a board with the T wasn't going to work off a machine. I always like to try to get things to go as much to the machine as possible, so that we can scale this off a real speed. But
Yep.
anyways, I really liked that, and I still really like it for this particular thing. It can get a little bit. It depends how you hit the balls. So there's 2 types of things you want to do when you're doing this particular drill, and that is if you are constantly fouling balls up and back, that's one thing. Or are you constantly rolling them over to this side? So if you're constantly fouling them up and back, we'll do this with a normal length bat, okay? But if you're constantly rolling this pitch over to the pull side, then we'll go with a short bat. So like a 28-inch bat versus his normal 33. So it's way shorter. And what happens is the short bat forces more side bend, and him to hold posture more. But what we've seen it flip flop, like he needed the short bat in the beginning, and then we did it too much, and there's too much side bending. He started missing too many pitches. So like some drills are good for a while, and then they need to be adjusted, right? And so we do this drill out of a normal length bat now, because he doesn't need to add more side bend to his swing. So it depends. It needs some tweaking, but that's the general gist of it.
Cool. Thank you.
No problem. Anybody else? I don't think so. All right, guys. Well, hopefully you guys found that helpful. I had a good time, and hopefully you did too. And I will be posting the recording. And if anybody is watching any replay, and you would like to join in on any sessions and have me review stuff like we're doing for these folks, reach out to me, drop a comment under the video if you're watching this, or I oftentimes put my cell phone in the description section, or a link where you can get a hold of me, and I can share more info about how we help people. So have a good one, guys. That is all for today. We will see you next Saturday.